Okay, we should be all set.
Okay, excellent. Actually, I should have already done this, but with that, we will close the call to the public as of 6:48 PM. We'll move on to discussion items. Number one is the introduction and discussion of the live meeting broadcast, which as you've been waiting patiently, a few minor hiccups, but I think we'll get it down and have it going well. We'll see. Our first time out of the box, there might be a few hiccups. But yeah, we are up and going. In case anyone didn't know, our YouTube channel is Genoa Township Public Channel. And if you go to YouTube and search that and subscribe, you will be able to bring up all of our meetings from this point forward, the Board of Trustees and the Planning Commission. And does anyone else have anything they'd like to add on discussion topic number one? No. Okay, with that, we will move to discussion item number 2, which was brought to us by Janine Deaton.
I would like to bring in a speaker for the Big Red Barrel project. Well, actually, I'll let them do all the talking, so come on up.
Want to hear me? Happy New Year, everybody. My name is
Happy New Year.
Terry Murray, co-founder of the Big Red Barrel project for the County Community Alliance. And to my right is Hattie Oswald, substance use prevention specialist for the LCCA and newfound Big Red Barrel project coordinator as from January 1. So Holly is going to be taking over from her predecessor who has retired. So Holly's here with me to help me make the presentation to you guys.
Excellent.
We did make a presentation to the board, I believe, was back in 2018, which was very successful. We did start, are you familiar with the Big Red Barrel project, number one? Most of you guys are. If you have any questions and you want to stop me in any, feel free to do so. But, and I thank Janine for bringing me the opportunity to come back to the township and get the Big Red Barrel back in the community for your residents. Because I have some staggering statistics for the 8 times that we collected here, both unused medications and sharps. And I believe we did it over a span of 2 years. Why it stopped, I have no idea. And it's irrelevant. We're here to try and get it started back up again, because it's a huge program for our county. In 2015, the Michigan State Police adapted the Big Red Barrel project and took it statewide. So now we are in every MSP post, main post throughout our state, which is in excess of 30. And the figures that they have collected since 2015, I believe, don't quote me on this, but they're about 70,000 pounds. Livingston County, from conception in 2011 to date, we're in excess of 100,000 pounds of unused medication taken off the streets and disposed of in an environmentally safe way.
Nice.
Genoa Township, and these numbers, and I looked at them the other day, are staggering. Our first take back here was on January 26, 2019, and we collected in 4 hours 64 pounds of pills.
Wow.
It's huge. And we did 4 times a year, and I believe it was for 2 years. So I can share those statistics with you. The next collection was for 2019. 86 pounds of pills, 90 pounds of sharps, Medicare needles. 7/27/2019, 4 pounds. For 1 pound and 90 pounds, 1 pound is huge. This pills weigh this much, milligrams. Okay? 10/26, our last one for the year, 30 pounds of pills, 70 pounds of sharps. Our first one for 2020 was 125. 32 pounds of pills, 72 pounds of sharps. Second one, I don't know, it got canceled. But we did a third one, 725, 16 pounds of pills, 10 pounds of sharps. Went on then to 1024 of 2020, 27 pounds of pills, 46 pounds of sharps. 227, 2021, 5 pounds of pills, 0 sharps, which is okay. 522 in 21, 11 pounds of pills, 7 pounds of needles. 2021, we had 828, 2021, we had 1 pound of pills and a half pound of needles. 1023, 21, we had 10 pounds of pills, 11 pounds of sharps. And our last one was 430, 2022, 14 pounds of pills, 14 pounds of sharps. They're staggering numbers, staggering. Holly did her first take-back event at Livingston Recycle, which we do once a month. This past Saturday, she stood out there with another member in the frigid temperatures, and she collected 29 pounds of pills. We're guesstimating right now with 70 pounds of sharps. That number I will have tomorrow.
Wow.
So community events are very important, and that's why we do them. I think we have done last year alone, is it 40 events, right? 40 events, just in Livingston County. I can't give you all those numbers right now, because I'll be here all night. So it is so important for you to get it out to your residents. We will be here if we can come to terms and on what day to be decided by the board. But we will work with, Holly will work with you guys, so I won't have you behind the scenes. And, but it's so important, as you see the numbers that you have been, that I've read to you guys, your citizens, your residents use the program. Now, it was brought to my attention that somebody maybe would like to purchase, or you talked about purchasing your own barrel. I have one that I can send you guys, but you know, right now we're in negotiations with the new supplier, but we have one available for sale if you wanted to do that. It is an option. I suggest that we go back and do what we used to do here 4 times a year, and see how it works, see what sort of numbers we can get back in, and those dates and all that, we can sit down and sort those out. It's huge for your residents to be able to dispose and empty out those medicine cabinets. Number one is to get them away from our children, because my son is an addict. That's why I'm co-founder of this, because I had to do something in 2010, because he started with my pills. So, and I'll never stop working this program, because it's so important for our community and our state. And I could talk here for hours, but that's basically what we're about. And I would love, and Holly would love the opportunity to come back to the township and get this program back in action again. Janine has my number, and you can discuss it among yourselves. We don't have to hear it tonight, but if there's something that we can do, sit down with you guys and come up with a plan, we will do it. And if the township wants to purchase a big red barrel that you could put out there, we can make that happen too.
Terry, did you figure out a cost on that purchasing?
That purchase of that barrel is going to cost you $600.
Okay.
So that would be the barrel
That
staying
would be
here
the
at
barrel,
all times?
Then you take your,
And it's locked and,
you have to put your own locks on it.
Yeah.
We will give you the toolkit to how it works, what you have to do, sit down with law enforcement, because it will be the township's responsibility to
Right.
get it to Sheriff Murphy for proper disposal.
And that's if we buy the barrel.
That's if you buy the barrel. If not,
you come.
we're here, we'll take care of it. 4
So
times a year.
you'll place a barrel here,
We'll come
and it will be handled safely
Absolutely.
at no cost to us.
at no cost to you guys. We come, we do it for 4 hours. We can do it, times to be 9 to 1 on a Saturday. If you can look into, that's what we did before. We picked 4 days. But it's so important that Janine or the board gets the word out to the residents. It used to go out on your email blast, your newsletter, and right before the event. That's key. It's like anything, you gotta advertise it. That's key to success. And Township was the first township and only township that did a take-back program. Now I am in discussion with another township, so we'll see what happens there. But I'd love to get back here because this is big numbers. The numbers are everything. And the big things. So, a statistic, state statistic. For those municipalities that have wastewater treatment facilities, it's costing them 4 times the amount of money to process the wastewater because the narcotic level is 4 times greater than it's supposed to be. So, getting these pills and medications off the streets is, it's big, it's just it's a win-win for everybody. And with that, I don't think we're gonna, if anybody any questions?
Yeah, this is an excellent program, and I commend you for what you do. And I'm thrilled to be talking about bringing it back again. Is it Saturdays that you prefer? Do you do weekdays?
We're all volunteers.
Right.
Holly, that's my alarm going off, telling me my blood sugar is rising. Holly's a substance use prevention specialist for the county, so yes, we would prefer to do Saturdays.
Okay,
Because we are all volunteers and
understandable.
it's just
Yep.
the time frame. So.
Okay. I personally would prefer to look at a program bringing you guys in to do it rather than purchase it and have anything here, so.
100%.
Well, that's entirely your decision. But it worked already.
Yeah.
For you guys. And
Yep.
There's no reason why it wouldn't work again.
In the past, on Saturdays, when you did do that here,
I believe it was Saturdays.
It was.
Somebody opened up the hall, in the wintertime, we were just inside the foyer.
and I was curious what staffing from township people.
No.
Someone just had to
Let us in.
open the building and shut
Open
the building.
Let us in.
Okay,
We can just be in the foyer, so we're out of the elements.
yeah.
And that's, in the summer, we can bring our little umbrellas and keep the chrome top.
Terry and Holly, you'd mentioned that this was a county-wide initiative, and you're here to present this board with the opportunity to join back onto the program. We've been away, it looks like a couple of years. What are the other townships in Livingston County? I know you just mentioned you're trying to get another one involved, but who else is participating?
There's
All of
Carl in every police department throughout our county. Everyone has.
In the townships here?
The
Every
townships,
township in the county.
Hamburg Township has it, and I believe that's the only other township.
they have one, but it's at the police department. Because when we started this, law enforcement had to be present
I got you.
to take back unused medication.
And I think a lot of times, that's why I wanted to bring it to the township. I think that when you bring your medication back, there's no questions asked. And somebody may have found, or whatever, narcotics or prescriptions or something that they don't want. And instead of handing it over to a police officer, they might feel intimidated, like they're gonna get in trouble. So if you have it at the township level, they could just drop it off, no questions asked, and they'll take it and get it off the street. And
It's like
that's,
an amnesty box.
Pretty much, yes,
No, in the military, we had something called an amnesty.
that's correct.
okay.
It's there.
Yeah, so, and if you bring it in and they just take it and thank them for dropping it off and they can leave. And, it's not in our groundwater, it's not in our soil, because people don't throw it away, and we're cleaning up the PFAS as much as we can.
Yeah, the statistics are staggering, they really are. And
Does anyone have the information of why we stopped?
This was a program from the previous clerk, and I was going through the files.
No.
And I saw this project in there, and this is one of the things I thought it was
Yeah.
great looking into it, and I wanted to bring it back.
Yeah.
I think some of the discussions around the stopping it as well, back when we started it, there weren't as many locations in Livingston County to drop them off. I mean, now, as you said, they're located in every police department. They're also in, I think, every CVS pharmacy. I know the CVS pharmacy in Genoa.
Not this program.
Okay, okay.
This program.
There is a take-back program.
There is a take-back program. I personally broke into Walgreens, not break into, but broke into the.
You're on tape saying that.
Yeah, and it took me a year. And we started, there were 4 Walgreens pharmacies in Livingston County. There are now 2.
Yeah,
Took me a year to get into, to meet the right person and explain my case to them, why they needed to be involved. And we did it, and it was a huge success. Well, then Walgreens started to do their own,
yes,
and
Okay.
we stopped.
yeah,
But they had competitions between the 4 stores. Who was going to collect the most? And Howell always won. Second was always Heartland. And that lady in Heartland, God bless her, she would go to every nursing home, just to beat Howell. You know, it became a personal thing between all 4 stores. And but out of that came Walgreens doing nationwide takebacks to the stores. Out of that came CVS. They're doing it. Oakland County have a similar program, the Yellow Jug program. So a lot of great things have come out of the Big Red Bar.
yes. Yeah, but so I think that was part of it, that there were more opportunities for people to dispose of those things in the community.
But that's why we still don't stop doing community events.
Yes,
We do Livingston Recycle once a month. It's 12 events. We do this senior for caring days. We do that. We do 40 events in Livingston County. Last year alone. That's a lot of
Yeah.
manpower, full-time work for some volunteers, and that's what we are. We don't get paid for any of this.
yeah,
We never will. But it's a valuable service to the community, and if you were to do it again for your residents, in some weeks or some event, we're not going to get many. But that's at the beginning, we got a lot. Because they're cleaning out their cabinets, and the neighbors started talking to one another. And that's why it is important to, for our board to talk about it, because there are still people in Livingston County that don't know what it's about. Have no idea. And this has been going in Livingston County since 2011. We rolled it out on Good Friday on 2011.
So just a question here. If the discussion and the consensus is of the board that this is a great idea, do we, either in this meeting or at a future meeting, add it as an agenda item and then vote on it? Is that the procedure that would follow?
That is, it's a discussion item tonight, and we would bring it up at a future meeting for a vote,
Okay,
if we decide to proceed.
okay.
I think consensus looks pretty good that we would like to proceed.
Should we make a motion to put it on? Do we need to make a motion to put it on the agenda?
No, we can just.
We can just do it on the
Yeah,
agenda.
we can handle it. and-
Okay.
Yep, send a memo to Kelly or myself.
Thank you guys very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you for your time and all the great work you do.
Thank you for having us, but all good deeds must not be going. Here we go. So that you will remember. Give everybody that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you again.
We love free stuff.
Free stuff is always good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Holly.
Oh, that's okay.
Thank you. Here we go.
All right, thank you.
See, it's like
you,
Christmas
Terry.
all over. Thanks,
Appreciate
Janine. Mr. Cici, how are you, sir?
Good seeing you again, buddy.
Good to see you. It's been a long time.
It has been.
Holly, do you have a business card that you could?
Thank you. I see him at Recycle Livingston.
Yeah.
That way I can coordinate directly with her.
And I forget
Do it
such
like
a
2
duty.
times. Ah, you're so nice. Sounds like 4 little
thank you so
lines.
much.
Careful. Okay, thank you. For our,
That way I can.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
for our next discussion item, Greg Tatara from MHOG. This is a presentation that I saw on the MHOG board that explained the MEDC Site Readiness Grant that MHOG received, and I think it's an excellent presentation, so I thought it would be good if the public saw it and knew what was going on. So
Great. Well,
take it
thank
away.
you for, can you hear me good?
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for having me here tonight to talk a little bit about some big upcoming 2025 capital improvement projects that MHOG has ongoing, and also discuss how those relate to the site readiness grant that we received, and to kind of just answer some questions that I think have been floating around out there about this site readiness grant. You know, we've had people inquire in our office, like, you know, was this money being used to fund water main right on South Latson Road? Of course, no. Is this money going directly to the developer of South Latson Road? No. Was this money going to reimburse the cost of the water main that's already been installed on South Latson Road? No. So I just wanted to give a history of that to answer those questions that we've received. So it's very straightforward what this grant's being used for and how much it benefits not only Genoa Township residents that are connected to the MHOG system, but all 4 townships that are connected to the MHOG system. So just a little bit of background on MHOG. I know some of you had the opportunity to come and inspect our plant, but I just want to give a little background for the residents and such in the audience. So MHOG is a water authority that was established in 1998 under the provisions of Public Act 233, which allows for the creation of sewer and water authorities by townships and cities in Michigan. It's an 8-member board. So there's 2 members from each township that are there, and as our acronym is, MHOG is Marion, Howell, Osceola, and Genoa townships. Clear thing to note about MHOG is MHOG as itself has no land use authority. So we are strictly reacting and installing water main, doing capital improvements and such to meet the demands and such that the townships have, or to meet their master plans, you know, or to provide a public health need in the cases of, for example, we had a church school that had arsenic in their water. And so we were able to extend water to them through a multi-jurisdictional agreement and such to make sure that those kids had safe drinking water at that school. Our goal is essentially to provide sufficient volume and pressure of water, no matter where we serve, as well as sufficient fire protection for everybody. So there's 1,700 fire hydrants, so I think it's getting close to 1,800 now. In the MHOG system, our staff maintains all of those. So when there's a fire, you know, we always say the fire department gets all the glory, but we're the guys behind the scenes that are making sure they got the water to put out the fire. So each township owns 25% of the capacity in MHOG. Currently, our well field in our plant has 12 million gallons per day of production capacity. However, and this is where this grant becomes essential, is we can only push out about 4.5 to 5 million gallons a day. And still provide adequate volume and pressure to everybody in the MHOG system. And that's because our distribution system was constructed in 1998, and I don't think anybody back then had a vision of exactly how much things would grow over that time. Nor was there money back then to essentially build, you know, you can't just build a 40-inch pipe because you think you're going to need it, you know. So the pipes back then were 16-inch pipes and such, and they kind of reached their maximum distribution capacity. Another key thing to note is that MHOG does deliver softened water. That's important, as you see in this grant, and what benefits this provides is that because we have softened water, we're a full treatment facility, we have to have it staffed anytime that plant is making water. So other systems can a lot of times just have, you know, pumps turned on just like your house, you know, you turn the spigot on and your well pump will kick on. We have to have an operator on site checking our water continuously as it's being made and sent out to the system. Just to shows you this, our system is broken up into pressure districts. So water systems operate under pressure districts. So you can see here, like this is pressure district 1. Serves both Howell Township and portions of Marion Township. Has an elevation of 1,082 feet above sea level. That's what water cares about. Water cares about elevation. So for every foot that you lift water in the air, you get 0.443 pounds per square inch of pressure. So a 100-foot water tower has roughly 50 pounds of pressure at the ground, give or take. So that's the key. So we don't really follow a geopolitical boundary. That was one of the big things we had to get educated members of MHOG about was, you know, the water system doesn't care where the township boundary is. The water system cares what the township boundary's elevation is. And so you'll see there's crossover here. You know, Pressure District 4 serves part of Marion Township as well. We had to create this pressure district in 2012 to help get additional water into Genoa. Pressure District 2 serves a lot of Osceola Township, as well as Howell Township, and then Pressure District 3, which is in Genoa, also serves a portion of Osceola Township. Our systems are highly regulated, so it it does take a lot to make the water safe for everybody. So we're regulated under Public Act 399. We have to do daily bacterial testing and quality testing. We're testing water every hour that plant's in operation, as well as taking distribution samples throughout the whole entire system each day. Saturday, Sunday, Christmas Day, doesn't matter. We're testing it. We have to do annual sampling for disinfection residuals, lead and copper for anybody that's followed the Flint stuff. They got in trouble for lead. We have to do those tests in people's homes. So we physically have to drop bottles off. People have to fill them up in their homes. We test. Water is one of the only things, I think, where we're required for what people have in their homes and protecting against that. So if you had lead pipes in your house and brass with lead in them, our water is still supposed to keep yours safe. So we're not supposed to have our water be able to leach out any of those contaminants. We have radiological testing, VOC testing, PFAS testing is a new one we just got a couple of years ago. Metals testing, we have such as arsenic and stuff to make sure that's all good. We have annual reports we have to submit for asset management. And then the big one is that each 5 years we have to do a reliability study to the state of Michigan. And what that reliability study does is we have to look at our demands that we anticipate in 5 years and our demands we anticipate in 20 years, and essentially tell the state, yep, we can serve all that future demand, and if we can't serve it right now, here's how we plan to accomplish that goal. And how we're going to fund that as well. So that's kind of big for us because reliability study for a city or somebody that's constant, it's not a big deal. They're not changing very much. But if you look at MHOG, we're growing. We're adding about 200 accounts a year on average over the last several years. So our demands are continuously increasing each year. And so we're trying to react to those and balance our financial restraints as well as the actual demands we have on our water system. So this project that this grant helped fund, I want to say, goes all the way back to 2007. So the very first reliability study that I was part of was in 2009. However, if you zoomed in on this figure, you see that this was printed in 2007, this map. And this is one of the projects that this grant is funding is this transmission main in Marion Township going between essentially County Farm and Sanatorium roads to Peavy Road. And so it's going to allow us to move more water from west to east. Because right now we're limited by this one particular 16-inch water main right here. And it prevents us from moving enough water into Genoa Township. So MHOG has all of its production over here on the very, very, very west side of the system. And a lot of its demand way over here on the east side of the system. So we have to move water about 12 miles across Livingston County. We had to make some improvements in 2012. Genoa Township had done some improvements at that time, and when I first started here in 2007, residents of Marion Township were essentially getting they had no pressure in their spigots. They'd be taking a shower and their water would go out. Well, the booster station in Genoa would turn on to fill Genoa Tower and it would pull them down. So MHOG sold bonds for $4.5 million. It was a 20-year revenue bond. In 2012, we constructed this tower that you see in Marion Township. That boosted that pressure district 4 that we talk about and allowed us to get sufficient water into Genoa Township at that time. And that ended up increasing the cost to residents about 42 cents per 1,000 gallons. So the current residents paid for that particular project. Fast forward to 2014. Again, this is the project that the grant's funding. You can see here we have, there's 2 projects here listed G and B. These are a 24-inch transmission main from our plant up to our 5 million gallons of storage we have on Sanatorium Hill. And then a 20-inch, that same one that I mentioned back from 2007, is going here across Marion Township. So we told the state in 2014 we plan to do this. This was as part of our 5-year growth that we'd be able to do that project. So those are presented to the state in 2014. We started planning to get this project done in 2016. Historically, under MHOG's Articles of Incorporation, each township would pay 25% for each improvement in the system. Also, under those original Articles of Incorporation, each township would be responsible for constructing the water main in their own township. Well, that was great for the townships on the east side of the system because if they're building a water main for them, it wasn't so good for Marion and Howell on the west side because the water's got to go through them to get over to the east. So we worked a lot with each of the townships, did a lot of meetings with them, and we implemented a master operator agreement that said that MHOG would now be responsible for constructing all these common system elements, all the transmission mains, the booster stations, towers, and all that. And it said essentially that MHOG could fund these either through bonds, capital improvement reserves, grants, any other way, or contributions from each of the townships was still a way that those could be funded. Local infrastructure would then be the responsibility of each of the townships or developers. We inherit a lot of developer constructed infrastructure that we oversee the installation of and make sure it meets our design standards. In 2016, we also began collecting from each, basically tap that each township sold, $3,500 that they would sell for one that wasn't already part of a special assessment district. So if a township had sold bonds and had properties, indebted to that bond, we would not collect any of the $3,500 or any of the tap fees they would collect on those properties. However, say for example, they sold a piece of property that had 20 RUs assessed to it, and then the development put 40 homes on there. Well, we would collect $3,500 on each of those additional 20 RUs that were sold. That allowed us to start building up our own funds and having the developers pay to build up the funds to have our this project implemented that we've been working on since 2007 to do that. In addition, in 2016, we started securing and were able to secure all the easements we needed to get that transmission main cross country through some wetlands and farmland and things like that to get a straight shot from one tower to the next. So that was all done in 2016 in anticipation of this project needing to go forward. A couple of years later, in 2018, we had a dry summer. One thing about water system is our production is highly dependent on the weather. So if it's right now, like our production is pretty much the same every day. It's wintertime and everything stays pretty steady Eddie. You get into the summertime, if it's raining, we don't produce much water, but when it gets dry and everybody wants to water their lawns and their flowers and all their landscape investments, all the things that the planning commission has going in there, like nice flower decorations and stuff, everybody wants to water those. So we have to give water for that. So this just shows you how complex our system is. It's a screenshot of our overall distribution system on SCADA. It's all the pressure districts are on here. I won't try to bore you with all this, but if you look at those here, like here's Howell, here's Hometown Tower, here's Genoa Tower, here's Osceola Tower. So just like that pressure district map I laid out, this is how our system works. But we have to make a lot of changes in the summer to meet this. We have to turn pumps on sooner. We have to lower variable frequency drives and have them fill slow so as not to pull one tower down too low. It's a lot of work to move 4.5 million gallons, 12 miles each day. So again, we still knew we needed to do this project. In 2019, you can see this was our 2019 reliability study that we submitted to the state of Michigan. And we plan in 2021 to bid and construct those 2 transmission main projects. We had them designed at this point, and they were ready to go. We were just trying to build up our sufficient funds. And at this point, we pretty much did in 2020. Well, what else happened in 2020? Basically, COVID went and flipped our whole plan upside down. It flipped our whole world upside down. And when we did bid the project in December of 2020, the bids came in 3 times higher than what the engineers estimated. So a project that was supposed to be $2 million came in at $6.5 million. So we basically had to shelve it again, and we made some interim steps up until 2023. We started getting really concerned because our customer base by this point now has increased up to 6,100 customers. If you look at 2018, back when we were meeting our demand conditions, that's another 14% increase. So 14% increase would put us up to about 5.1. That's getting really at the jagged edge of what we can make and still maintain sufficient volume pressure, as well as be able to put out a fire or something like that at the same time. That's something we always have to be prepared for too. So we had concerns about that. To help curtail restrictions, we implemented a 50 cent per $1,000 irrigation surcharge. We also did that because irrigation is what was causing us to have to implement all these improvements. So we wanted irrigation usage to be what helps fund these improvements and not just the public health and safety water that residents were using. And then in reviewing, we were reviewing plans for further development in all townships. As you know, if anybody's driven up North Latson Road, it's pretty busy right now. There's a lot of stuff going on there. So we had to get, we were worried about all that. And then also at that time in 2023, there were plans for some significant water demands on South Ladson Road. So, knowing that at that point, then we became aware of an opportunity for this site readiness grant, and we applied for it in the hopes that our system would then be able to meet whatever demands were put our way. Again, we don't make land use decisions. We have to be there to serve them whenever something happens. So I just want to show you a couple of graphs. This is our hydraulic water model. And looking at one of these, I know it's somewhat complex. But basically what you want to take away is yellow, orange, and red is bad. Anything blue and green, purple is good. So red, you're getting below where's our minimum pressure we're allowed to have in the system, which is 20 psi. Anything less than 20 psi, you're under a boil water notice. We essentially cannot go anything less than 35 psi, which you see is the orange. And we really try to stay anywhere between 50 and 70 psi throughout our system. That's why you have those different pressure districts, because on the elevations we have to do all of that. So if we don't switch our pressure districts and our demand goes up to 5.7 million gallons, which is what we're anticipated to be here in a couple of years, you can see Osceola residents have essentially very little water on a high demand day. So a day in July when it's been 90 degrees for 4 or 5 days, we'd be in deep trouble. And then this, we modeled this without basically a drinking fountain on South Ladson Road. There was no development on South Ladson Road at all. This is strictly just with our current demands that we have coming in our system right now. If you look here, this is bad. These are our tank levels. We can model actually over a 24-hour period what our water tanks would do. And you can see here in this case, our Osceola water tower, which is down here, goes to 0% full. So there's no water in it. That's why the pressure is so low. So we don't have the ability to move that much water. If we switch our pressure districts around, which is ultimately what's planned as part of the growth of the MHOG system over time, we need to take this portion of Osceola and also put it on Genoa's tower. If we did that step, hoping that that would help, if we go back up to that 5.7 million gallons a day of demand, Osceola doesn't have enough pressure. So you can see here it goes, oops, Osceola gets very yellow and red in this area. So right here you can see, or Marion Township is in bad shape. So, and again, Hometown Tower, which is that new one I showed you that got built in 2012, that tower empties under this condition. So, with the improvements that we are planning to do, which is to build a 24-inch transmission main in Marion Township as well as a 20-inch transmission main in Marion Township, total project cost of about $10.5 million. This is at 6.7 million gallons a day of demand across the MHOG system, which is what we anticipate would be past 2029. You can see that we are at adequate pressures and fire flow throughout the entire MHOG system. So these two improvements are critical, and like I said, we've initially started planning for these way back in 2007. Was the first time we looked at doing one of these improvements. So this has been on our radar for a long time. There's been a lot of work and effort to get to that point in terms of easements and planning and design and engineering. Just to talk a little bit about what this grant means for our customers, we were thrilled to get it. You know, if we were basically getting to the point where we were going to have to sell bonds to do this project, because we couldn't save up enough money given how much construction costs have increased since COVID. Like I said, they tripled. So the bid I told you we got for $6.5 million, that was actually fortuitous because that's what we applied for the grant. So it was $6.5 million. So if we had to bond that, we'd be looking at about an annual bond payment of about $500,000. Also, if we weren't able to build a 24-inch transmission main, I told you we could only get about 5 million gallons a day out of the plant running. Our pumps would have to be there all the time. Someone would have to be there. So we'd have to add another staff member for the summertime so we could run a 24-hour shift. So with our current, we currently bill about 573 million gallons a year. So we'd have to generate about $605,000 annually. We'd have to charge an additional $1.06 per 1,000 gallons of water to our customers to pay for that. So with the current O&M rate of 484 per thousand, if we had to add that, we'd be looking at about 22% rate increase. Each customer would pay on average about $95 more a year. So we were thrilled to get that grant. It's an opportunity for us to get these projects done. We're currently have bid them. And we're looking to start construction here in the next month. We have to have the project completed by December 31st of 2025. This will greatly improve the reliability system, greatly improve public health and safety through fire protection, and also keep our costs low for all of our current 6,000 some accounts that we have in the MHOG system, which is a population of about 20,000 Livingston County residents that we serve. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to explain that grant, how it came to be, how we got it, and if you have any questions, I guess I'm happy to answer those now for you.
Greg, would that change the current rate at all for our customers? From the 484?
The grant, you mean, or not?
Doing this project, will it change the cost to our customers?
No, we're gonna hopefully be able to keep our costs the same. Now, we typically do a 1 to 2% rate increase a year, or CPI adjustment rate. So our rate may go up slightly. We do that in September of each year. But with this, we're not gonna anticipate changing that rate at all.
Okay.
I didn't see any mention to the Oak Point portion of this water system.
Yeah, so Oak Point is currently it's its own system. It stands on its own. This project will help take steps to eventually, hopefully, get Oak Point connected to MHOG, which is what is planned in the long future. I'm going to throw a number at the wall and say about 10 years is what that's planned for. The idea is we've always been planning for Oak Point to eventually get there, but there's more improvements that would have to go in to get Oak Point connected. We need a booster station and
It's huge.
and some water main down back road and stuff as well. But eventually we'll get there with Oak Point, but that's not in the initial plans right now.
Okay.
Greg, I had a quick question. So usually when there's special grants or something from the state of Michigan or the federal government, there seems to be strings attached. Have you read the fine print? to make
Yes,
sure that
actually this
there's-
one is pretty good. I mean, we went through it, we had an attorney review it. We don't have, there's not a matching requirement, although we are matching, because we're including the whole project as ourselves. But no, the only thing we had to do is in bidding, there was no like Davis-Bacon Act, there was no prevailing wage requirement. Gosh, there was one requirement, but I know we met it easily because we meet it in all of our standard bid documents. It wasn't something that was unusual or anything. That's why I'm having a hard time recalling exactly what that was. But
And surprisingly, the reporting on this grant is not nearly as intrusive as most are.
yeah,
Okay.
some of them you have to do these big quarterly reports and everything. And this
There
one
always
was-
seems to be something attached when it's
Yeah.
from our
Right.
government.
Well, there's no such thing as free money, right? We all know
Exactly.
that. There's nothing. This one, as grants go, was one of the things I used to always be proud of saying was, up until we did get this grant, like MHOG and all the improvements and all the stuff we've done never took $1 of federal or state money for anything. So we did everything internally and on our own. But at some point, we got big enough here that this one was a little much for us to be able to handle, given the cost of everything right now.
Okay.
Any further questions? All right.
Well, thank you. I'm glad,
Thank you very much for coming in and giving that presentation, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
And for anyone who doesn't know, he is a serious asset to our township. We are very blessed to have him, and he keeps an eye on our water very well. And his
Not to
staff is
mention the
excellent. And
sewer.
sewer.
We got it coming and going.
Okay, discussion item number 4 involves supervisor authorization to engage special counsel. This comes from the Planning Commission, where they referred the validity of the PUD up to us, the Board of Trustees. And so we reached out to 4 very well-respected firms in land use. One was unable to do so, and one has not responded, but we have 2 that we've kind of zeroed in on, and we're just waiting to get the final numbers for that. But the hope is that if we can go ahead and, much like we did prior to us taking our positions, sign a letter of intent so they can get working on getting us the information that we need to make this happen. And then at the next meeting, hopefully we will have a final number for us to vote on and authorize hiring the special counsel for land use.
Did you want to wait till the next meeting to do that, or were you looking for guidance to?
Yeah,
keep
actually,
this
just
going?
if it's okay, that much like the last supervisor signed the letter of intent
Yep.
with Hormier's Foster Swift, I would do the same with the firm that we choose.
It would be nice to keep this moving.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, we cannot drag our feet, we need to get her going, so our goal is by the next meeting, they'll already kind of be working, and, we will formalize it so that we can do what we're supposed to do.
I want to move to allow the supervisor to go ahead and sign that on our behalf.
We don't actually have to, I don't think we have to do a vote. We didn't last time, so, yeah. I
Okay.
appreciate it, but yes.
I would have supported you. Kevin, any kind of ballpark? I mean, you've got 4. One said not in our wheelhouse.
I was that they didn't have time.
Okay.
To do the
didn't-
litigation
Didn't have
part.
time. Is this $100,000? Is it $10? Is it $10,000? Any kind of idea what?
They give you an hourly rate. It's not going to be exorbitant, but, if it goes to the mat, it won't be cheap. This portion of it will not be
And again,
exorbitantly expensive.
This, I want to make sure that what the scope of work is. Okay, law firm ABC, we want you to take a look at the documentation related to this project, and in your estimation, tell us whether or not you feel that this is valid or expired, and then move it to a court for final decision.
We will, whatever their recommendation is,
Whatever
that's
they
what we'll
recommend.
follow. But yeah,
Gotcha.
so initially it will just be what the planning commission asked us to do. However, we want to have somebody in the bullpen that's, in case things progress farther and
Right.
we need representation, we want that representation in place.
Gotcha.
And that's what this plan will do.
Okay.
Okay. Discussion item number 5 is from trustee Todd Walker regarding My Genoa app.
So I noticed that the city of Brighton has a My Brighton app. The city of Howell has a My Howell app. And in our goal of trying to improve and increase our community outreach, I think it'd be a good step to explore a My Genoa app. So I'm starting to communicate between the city of Howell and Brighton and get to the bottom of how they set theirs up so we can look into what it's going to take to model something for Genoa for us.
What do they use those apps for?
Just community outreach. People at their leisure can log into the app and look at different upcoming events, elections. They can go in and look at meeting minutes, agendas, things of that nature. And with it being an app, the person who has the app on their device can select whether they want to receive alerts for different events or different things. So it kind of makes for an easier opening for dialogue, initiation of dialogue.
In your conversations, did anyone indicate to you what it costed to put that together?
Not yet.
So when anybody can have an app on their phone by going to any web page and
Correct.
just creating a shortcut, and it creates it as an app on your phone. Why would we, did you know how to do this? It's like the technology with the iPhone, you're able to do that.
I
So
don't know.
it makes it as like a shortcut, like an app. You just click on it, it'll take us to our web page. Is this something different that you want to do other than that? Because our web page has everything on it, and I think that creating a whole new platform, as Mr. DeHanis said, would probably be a waste of a lot of money in creating more social media stuff and when we already have, you know. some
Yeah,
of
I
that
want to find
money.
the differences between the web page and an app. I want to learn about that so that we can explore whether or not that's something that we should or should not do.
One thing it does allow you to do, it looks like, is some communication, like BAFA lets us know, the fire authority lets us know, you know, when there's something going on in the township. You could just send a quick hit out and the app would let people who had it know. You might have some traffic delays, there's a fire going on here.
Boil water.
Or something of that nature, some of the traffic, with some of the construction coming up. Maybe another way to, you know, to reach out to the younger crowd and let them know what's going on.
I
Have to
did,
see.
I looked at both the apps. I didn't download either of them, though. And I just was kind of looking at the comments, and the one, and I don't remember if it was Brighton or Howell, said basically it appeared to be just links to their website, which was a really good informational website. So they didn't see much more to it than simply linking to what they already had. Events-wise, maybe I could see that more for a city that's got like the balloon fests and the, you know, art festivals, and we don't have that stuff in the township.
Or
So,
the Big Red Barrel.
or the Big Red Barrel. I guess I'm kind of leaning toward how much do we need and who's going to maintain all these many sites. I
Right,
mean,
if
if you dig into this and find something great,
If it's minimal maintenance and minimal cost, then why not? But it's just another avenue that we should explore.
Investigate, absolutely. Do our homework on.
Yep.
In the vein of improved communications.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
So I get that.
The more you can get the community engaged, the better government you'll get. Okay, any other further questions on number 5? With that, there are a couple of questions on the minutes, so I would actually entertain a motion to move the 2 items, 6 and 7 of the consent agenda into the regular agenda at this point.
leaving nothing for approval of consent?
Yeah, then nothing would be on for the approval of consent, yes. We would just have the regular agenda, and 6 and 7 would be part of it. Anyone?
I guess I could make a motion to move the approval of consent agenda items into the regular
Move
agenda
item 6 and
items,
7 into the regular agenda.
I'll second that.
All right, I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. So, okay. Action item number 6 would be the payment of bills. Any discussion on the bills?
Do we want to approve the regular
We
agenda?
do. Approval of regular agenda.
Oh, that's right. Don't mind me. Yes, so now I need to approve this agenda that we have just amended.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Now we will get to paying the bills. Does anybody have any question about the bills just yet? Okay, I would entertain a motion to pay the bills.
Move approval as presented.
I second it.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Number 7 is the December 16, 2024 meeting minutes. And I know we had some questions.
Yeah, I would like to move that the minutes be amended regarding the vote to strike the 2 pages referencing the severance package. The minutes reflect that I was in favor of striking those 2 pages, but it doesn't list a reason. I don't want my vote to be construed as just being arbitrary. The comments that I made regarding that were that Genoa Township was organized in 1837. Our township has done just fine without a severance package since then. That, along with MTA reporting that severance packages are not the norm for townships, is why my vote was to remove the 2 pages. I just wanted there to be some clarity on that. That's all.
Genoa Township was organized in, what'd you say, 1937?
1837.
1837, yes. and has done fine without a severance package, and MTA reports that severance packages are not.
The norm for townships.
Thanks.
That's all. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions or suggestions on the previous minutes?
Well, I do, like, my statement has been cut in way half, and like, I was looking at this earlier today, and I'm like, I said a lot that day, and this is definitely condensed. So,
They're usually not a play-by-play, it's more of a general summary, but is there a specific, something you mentioned that you feel?
Like a key point.
Yeah, once that you really want to be reflected in those minutes?
well, when I did say that there were fears that the new board would fire everybody, it was because the previous board led everybody to believe that that was gonna happen, which was not true. And that was part of the reason why I said that.
Okay. Do you have a suggestion for how you might like it to read?
I think, again, I'm going to lean on Kevin's comment that these shouldn't be word for word, never have been, and just kind of a snapshot of what the conversation was.
Okay. Yeah, because it made
I mean,
it
if you
sound-
feel
it
you
just
were
makes it sound like-
portrayed inaccurately, then we would want to.
It's highly condensed, and I have to tell you that. So I guess I'm gonna have to, verify everything before this draft goes out in the future.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
So would you like me to add that?
But would you like to do
I
any
don't recall that
modification
that's
or?
not in here, but if you said it and you want it in here, we can do that.
Yeah, like, I also mentioned that it was just unlikely for a severance package to be put into, into any, position for, I don't know, I don't even remember the words that I was saying, but it's highly unlikely for people to be rewarded for bad behavior by not doing their job. And a severance package should be removed for somebody not doing their job and not have to rely on, having a backup, I guess you could say.
It does say something similar to that.
It does.
Similar, but not exactly my wording, so.
Yeah, it's hard to do word for word.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how we want to proceed with that.
Because it was more than just the clerk's department being a mess. It was, other things that, but that is the gist of it, but it's highly condensed, so.
Okay.
I stated that, as a realtor, I wake up every day unemployed, and you shouldn't have to, you have to work hard to get paid. And it shouldn't be guaranteed if you don't do your job to have a package to fall back on. That if you don't do your job, you shouldn't get a severance package. You should be fired without that. So I just wanted to reflect that.
Janine, do you think that there's something that needs to be added to that section then?
I do.
think-
And it,
I was going to say, yep.
Okay.
Do you want to have her read it back, or are you okay with?
yeah, would you
Previous
mind?
board led everyone to believe that was going to happen. I'm gonna put that somewhere where you spoke about everyone.
That they were going to be fired, that people were going to be fired, and that's why it was
I'm reluctant
implemented in
to-
October.
I'm reluctant to put that in there because unless those people told you that, I'm not sure you can state that.
I was told by a previous board member that that was why they implemented it.
I'd hate to quote somebody without knowing it, that's all.
It does say there were fears that the new board would fire everyone.
Right.
So I do think that it addresses that there were fears of that. And I think the comments about not wanting to reward people for bad behavior, the severance would not have applied to a termination because
With
someone
cause,
wasn't
yeah.
properly doing their job. So perhaps that comment wasn't included because it really wasn't relevant to the way that the policy was written. The severance policy was only written to take effect in the event that you're letting someone go without cause. So no one would have been rewarded for being a bad employee under the way the policy had formerly been.
Okay. Could you read back what you had added?
The previous board led everyone to believe that was going to happen. It was unlikely for a severance package to be put for people to be rewarded for bad behavior. As a realtor, she wakes up every day unemployed and she has to work hard to get paid, and it shouldn't be guaranteed. If you don't do your job, you should be fired and not receive a severance package.
No, not, can I rewrite it and then send it to you?
We have to we have to approve.
We have to do it tonight.
Then don't add it, because it makes it sound really, really bad. It's not the way that I wrote it.
You just said, that's what you just said.
So take all that out, let's
Just
approve
take
it as is.
Yeah, just take it out so we can move on, because that's not how it came out to be, but.
Okay.
And hopefully one of the benefits of recording the meetings will be that
Right.
we'll have that kind of verbatim history to lean into if there's ever a concern with the paraphrasing of the minutes. That will be definitely a benefit moving forward.
Okay.
So do we need a motion now to approve the
Amended.
amended agenda?
The amended minutes. I was just gonna
Okay.
wait
The
until
minutes, 'cause Todd's
we were ready.
adding his.
Are we clear to proceed with the?
My understanding is the only change is what Mr. what Mr. Walker wanted to add. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yep, I guess.
Is that okay?
We're ready.
Yes.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the minutes,
The amended
The
minutes.
amended minutes.
I have a
Second.
motion. Do I have a second? A second. So I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, minutes are approved. Action item number 8 is the consideration of a recommendation for approval of proposed ordinance number Z 2501 regarding zoning ordinance text amendments to Article 11, general provisions.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This is a request for approval of zoning ordinance amendments as you referenced. All of these amendments are related to changes to both the wind energy and the solar energy sections of our zoning ordinance. I believe this board is fully aware that the impacts of Public Act 233 and the Michigan Public Safety Commission's guidance regarding that act have really eliminated the township's ability to control wind and solar. They did, however, leave a bit of a door open that if we were to write a compatible renewable energy ordinance, that they would agree to allow us to implement that. And what that allows us to do is have control over the siting of utility scale wind and solar, so we can say where in our township we want them to be. Other than that, though, we have to basically echo everything that the state provided in the Public Act. We are not allowed to be more stringent than their law is. Otherwise, they would deem that our ordinance is not applicable. So these changes are meant to get ahead of that. It would put in place rules and regulations requiring a wind or solar project that applies under 233 to have to come to the township for approval. We would have that control over location. And then otherwise, we'd have to apply the state standards, which you'll find in this proposed ordinance.
And just so everybody knows, this is the lawsuit that we are involved in. This is just the wording to clear up and bring us in compliance with what the state has required us to do if the lawsuit is unsuccessful. So if it's successful, this will sort of beef or not, but we're just protecting ourselves either way it goes. And this is really about local control.
Well, I'd like to thank staff. There was a lot of time and effort put into this, and it's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, our planning director, Amy Ruthig, I know jumped on this pretty quickly. The planning commission accommodated a special meeting so that this could be heard. So definitely a group effort to get this to this board so that we could put this in effect before any applicants came forward.
So the planning commission approved it on December 4th, and then the county approved it on December 18th. So-
That's correct.
Okay.
So I will entertain a motion on action item number 8, if anyone would like to make that.
I'd move approval.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. This will be a roll call.
Walker,
Aye.
Reiber,
Aye.
Hunt,
Aye.
Deaton, aye. Susie,
Aye.
Householder,
Aye.
Spiker.
Aye. All right, motion carried. The ordinance is amended. On to action item number 9. This is a request for approval of Resolution 250106 entitled Resolution Regarding Minimal Tax Overpayments as submitted by the Township Treasurer, Robin Hunt. And she will explain what this is.
Yeah, I had this on the last agenda, and prior to the meeting, the township attorney had requested that it be tabled so he would have time to review it. I've since heard back from him. He reviewed it and said there is no concerns and it is appropriate to approve. So, if anyone has any more questions, I think I explained it pretty thoroughly at the last meeting.
Okay, at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve action item number 9.
I'll move.
I'll
Second.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, on the motion, I have a second. This is a roll call.
All right, we'll start with Householder,
Aye.
Susie,
Aye.
Deaton, aye. Hunt,
Aye.
Reiber,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Spiker.
Aye. All right, motion carried. On to action item number 10, which is a request for the introduction of proposed ordinance number Z2502 regarding zoning map amendments involving 9.76 acres of land located at 410 South Hughes Road to rezone from public recreation facilities to suburban residential, and to set the meeting date for considering the proposed ordinance for adoption before the Township Board on Tuesday, January 21 of 2025.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a rezoning request that was reviewed by the Planning Commission on November 13th. They recommended approval. It then had to go to Livingston County, who recommended approval on December 18th. In accordance with the Charter Township Act, we are required to introduce and set the hearing date for any ordinance or zoning ordinance change. So because this is a map amendment, you're being asked this evening just to introduce this topic and then set the hearing for the next meeting.
I do have a quick question. For this rezoning, currently, I actually thought it was considered residential, so I was surprised at the zoning on it because they blocked off as a giant no swim area in the lake and said it was a completely private area. But they recently received a septic tank. Are they talking about tearing that existing house down and utilizing that septic tank, or adding a secondary septic tank to build a new house?
I'd have to check with the Livingston County Health Department. I don't believe that you're allowed to have 2 septic fields on a property, so my guess is they're just replacing their current field, but it is my understanding that they do intend to construct a new home on the property, so perhaps that tank is meant for...
Is it only gonna be one house, or is there going to be multiple? Like, what's the zoning for the residential? How many, is there any splits available?
There could be. The property is over 9 acres, 9.76 acres. It's not all usable. I know there are wetlands and a stream that cross the property. The SR zoning without municipal sewer requires 1 acre lots. So there is potential that there could be splits on this property.
pretty rough.
The owner has not indicated that they intend to take any land divisions, but that is a possibility.
Was there, what was the history on this property? Was it residential to begin with, then went to park?
Yeah.
And now it's coming back?
So that's a great question. I believe the history of this property is that this was the caretaker's residence associated with the outdoor resorts camping community. And so this home was lived in and owned by the people who ran outdoor resorts, which is why it is zoned the same as outdoor resorts. It was the Banfield property initially. So this was a caretaker's residence, and then subsequent to that was sold and has continued to be utilized and occupied as a single-family residential. Just when it was in PRF zoning, it was because of that home being connected to the camp.
Kelly, is the zoning change a requirement to allow them to tear the house down and build another house?
It
Is
would,
that like a legal requirement? Is that why they're asking for this?
it would allow it. So under the PRF zoning, which is parks and recreational facilities, single-family residential is not allowed.
Okay.
So it's being used in a non-conforming way, and that it's been a home for the last 50 years or so. So this would allow the single-family residential use to be a permitted
A legal-
use of the property.
Gotcha. Thank you. Todd, did you say?
Further questions?
You kind of nailed it.
Okay.
Well, in the document here, it says the SR zoning would allow for demo and reconstruction of a single-family home.
Yes, it would. That is what the
just one.
applicant has requested. It's important when we look at a rezoning to know that even though this particular owner is saying, I just want to tear this house down and build another house, the zoning change allows for other types of uses. So it's important to know.
Should we ask more clarity before we allow it to go forward?
I think really what we should be looking at is that zoning district appropriate? Is it compliant with our master plan? Does it meet the goals and objectives of it? As long as we're comfortable that the host of uses that is in the proposed district matches our master plan, then I think how they intend to use it is really a private property owner's right.
I just don't like the fact that there's septics on the lakes. Jennifer Granholm put in the Michigan Clean Water Act and said that sewers were supposed to be on the lakes. And I was surprised to find out that they didn't tap in the sewer, that they were allowed to have a septic system about 2 months ago installed on this property.
So the nearest sewer to this property is towards the entrance to Red Oaks. And there are capacity issues downstream of this property that would make extending sanitary sewer to this property challenging. Secondarily, once you have sanitary sewer, your density changes. So currently on septic, it's 1 acre lots. In the SR district, if you have municipal sewer, you can go down to half acre lots. So it's important to note, while yes, this would be on a septic field, the lot size is significantly more than if there was municipal sewer brought to the property, you could put more homes on it. So there's always that trade-off, especially with the lakes, and as busy as Lake Chemung is, would you prefer to see,
10 homes?
6 houses or
One.
10 houses on the property? And there is definitely a measure to be talked about in regard to whether bringing sanitary sewer is a greater benefit versus keeping it at a septic field and 1 acre lots.
Okay, this would be highly unusual, but since we do have a former planning commission member offering to provide us with some input, I will recognize Jeff DeHanens.
Thanks. The simple fact was, this took a lot of time with planning commission because the sewer system is so close. Yes, it would be $11 billion to run the sewer there. But there's so little buildable lot space in there because it is swamp. It's basically this house and that whole one comes down. So if she split the property in the future,
She'd maybe get 2?
so,
Okay.
Still,
Well, you don't need a perk if it's on a sewer.
but the sewer
Isn't there.
can't, there's no capacity. You're at the end of the line. Yeah, but the utility director right here could tell you. There's no capacity right there at Fulton Church.
Yeah, we spent, I don't know how many years ago, we looked at this this in detail, because there was somebody trying to put, I think, 12 lots or something. Yeah, and we looked at this in a lot of detail, and it was very, very difficult to get that property serviced with sanitary sewer given the current system that's out there.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeff and Greg. That was highly unusual, but I feel that it was a very good contribution to our discussion.
Well, and I'll just add too, there's not a lot of information in your packet tonight because we're really just introducing it and setting it for the next meeting. So in your packet next month, you'll have a full report from the engineer, from the planner, from the fire department. So you'll have more information next month to make your decision.
Yeah, we're not actually approving it today. We're just
Correct.
approving it to,
Next meeting.
this is the first notice, and the next meeting would actually be the second and final notice, and people can come in and express concern if they feel the
That's
need.
correct.
Do they notify the neighbors that this is going on
Yep.
over there?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yep, the planning commission held a public hearing on November 13th, and in accordance with state law, everyone within 300 feet was notified of that rezoning.
So at this time, I would entertain a motion to put it on the agenda for the Tuesday, January 21st, 2025 meeting.
I make a motion.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Support.
Okay, I have motion, I have support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And our last thing is just kind of a little thing that we've done here, request for approval of the Genoa Town Charter Township Principles of Governance.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I found this in some old files of the township. The township board years ago had adopted these principles of government. It's a document prepared by MTA. And I just thought, given that this is a predominantly new board and it's the start of a new year, that this would be a nice document for the board to approve and adopt. It just furthers your commitment to fostering efficient and effective government. And I thought that it was well prepared and that it may be something the board would be interested in approving. So it's included for your consideration this evening. It's definitely not a requirement. I just thought it was a nice document for you to consider.
No, I absolutely believe that it shows our commitment to doing what we said we were going to do, and I appreciate your putting this document together and putting it on here for us. So at that, has everybody had a chance to read it? I will entertain a motion that we all sign this.
I move that we adopt the principle of governance for Genoa Charter Township as presented.
A second?
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And at this point, do we have any board comments on any topics we covered tonight or anything you would like to discuss further?
I do, Kevin.
Okay.
I think maybe and I'll fill out the memo notification to maybe get it as a discussion topic for next meeting. A list of the vacant properties along Grand River Avenue, right? And any vacant lots that we have here, that's important that we identify what it is that's preventing those from being occupied. Is it rent? Is it, the color of the paint on the building? But to first of all, get an inventory of these vacant properties so that we can develop an action plan and start reaching out to these landlords to figure out what it's gonna take to get them to get tenants in these buildings. So I would like to submit, the memo notice for topic of discussion for next meeting to just talk about this inventory list.
Excellent. Anybody else?
I just have a question about we talked about redoing the master plan. I wondered what the status was with that.
Yep, I just received a proposal from Giffords. I was a bit shocked by the price, so I'm intending to go back to them and see if there's some improvements we can make in the cost of that before I bring that back to you. Because it was nearly $50,000, and I think that was a little more than I thought it would be. So,
Thank you. That's fine.
I also think we'll probably have to lean into our chosen legal advisor on exactly how we should proceed if we proceed in that direction before we jump in. So that's part of the reason we're being very diligent in hiring representation on land use so that they can advise us properly
Okay,
on that.
okay,
So, but yes, we have not forgotten.
okay.
Anybody else? Okay, and with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are closed as of 8:08 PM.